IanXIlyana here. But I'd try something a little different. Instead of my normal sing-along podcasts and podcasts where I just talk about my military sexual trauma, where I was sexually abused by the United States Air Force, I thought I would just go to the heart of the matter, which is Mars. Mars. So thank you to all my fans that have followed me so far. But today I'm just going to talk about Mars. The thing that brought me out of my self-imposed restrictions on YouTube was a X-post by Joe Rogan. And hello there, Jaden. Hello there, Clint. Good to see all of you. Missed you terribly. I had to take some time off after being denied my military benefits after being sexually abused by Master Sergeant Miranda of the United States Air Force. So I had to take some personal days. The dog is doing quite well. I'm amazed at the resilience and the recovery of dogs. She's still as sprightly and as caring as ever. So I appreciate her. Joe Rogan was able to test drive, well, not exactly a test drive, but he rode in a vehicle that had the assisted driving features enabled. Good for him that he survived that encounter. I just don't know why someone as clever as him is so quick to jump on that bandwagon of we need assisted driving automobiles on the road. Call me old-fashioned or just plain old, but what's wrong with walking? What's wrong with thinking past vehicles? I'm trying to build the first city on Mars, call it Metropolis, and make it a paradise. And I call it a paradise because I don't want any cars. I don't want any roads. I think that's an archaic way of thinking. A lot of people have cars. They own them, they use them. Good for you. But what does that really mean? I don't think people understand. When you own a car, it means that you don't have everything you need in your immediate area. But it also means that you yourself have to go and get whatever else you need. Oh, by the way, the dog wants to say hello on camera, so that's her. Clint, thank you for that kind word. I wish I had been approved as well, because if I'd been approved, I would have had a different conversation. I would have had a conversation about, thank goodness I'm approved. Now I'm building my my spaceship to Mars, and I'm out of LA, and I'm just doing something else. Instead of, I live in Los Angeles in a favela with graffiti everywhere, and I'm a climate scientist, I'm an environmentalist, I'm a Native American First Nation person of two-spirit. But no, instead of living in an enlightened area, I live in a place that commits violent hate crimes against transgender people, which is their cultural history to be transgender, but somehow they forgot that when they were fleeing wherever they were from, whatever drug cartel that landed them here. And yes, I want to be that rude about that, because I'm not going to let it go that the Department of Veteran Affairs knew that I am two-spirit transgender, knew that I was LGBT, and yet still said, you know what? You need to be in the ghetto. You need to be in a place where you're not accepted. Where if you wear your lovely Scottish kilt, people are either going to look at you funny or they're going to attack you. So what do? I just wear it anyway because it's none of their business. It's none of their business what I wear. It's none of their business what's underneath it. It's none of their business at all. You gotta be some really fucking nosy parkers to be interested in what's under a man's kilt. But that's just the ignorance of America sometimes. Either way, Joe Rogan, what are you thinking? What are you thinking that you were endorsing self-driving cars? I think a man who talks about float tanks and MMA and the joys of psychedelics and mixed martial arts, all of that. I said that twice. I don't know where I was going with that. You would think that a man who talks about being grounded in your body would want to say the more intelligent path is to live your life in an area that you know you own or in control of and you feel safe. Because the world is a very, very dangerous, crazy place. And we allow it to be so. We allow crime to happen in our neighborhood. You know, I love how every time there's a violent crime against any hate crime targeted group, there are people who go out and they protest and they do this and that. But what does that even do? Because we look to the police, we look to the police and they say that they're understaffed. They say that they can't police the entire area. They're relying on you to do your part. If you see something, say something. Most people don't. Most people say, that's somebody else's job. But you keep passing the buck and then all of a sudden your neighborhood is just ruined. And Jaden, I will talk about what's going on here. Ian, can you pray for me? I have math state testing next week. Jaden, you have to study, and you have to be the best of the best. You're a person of color from what you've told me, so you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your people, you owe it to your history to overcome any personal shortcomings to be the best of your class. Do it for yourself, do it because it's the right thing, but do it for all the people who were denied an opportunity at education. We forget how long ago it was, because it was very recent, that people of color weren't allowed in education. And it was because people fought for it, people protested, people withstood horrible slurs of being fire hosed just so that you could sit in that classroom. And if you're not getting straight A's, then you are disrespecting those people. That's a lot of pressure to put on a young person. And I know that you're young and you really shouldn't have to deal with that kind of pressure. But I want you to accept this responsibility, because when you grow up in America, they just look at your skin color and they don't care about anything else that you have to offer. I am a person of color with stellar grades and intelligence. And you know what? The United States Air Force sexually abused me. The United States allowed me to move into a neighborhood which was the wrong neighborhood to move into. And when it comes to hate crimes, I don't have any recourse, because I try to talk to the sheriff's department about it, and they had the gall to say to me, You know, from the picture, it doesn't look like that person was going to attack you. So I had it coming for being transgender. Thank you so much, LA Sheriff's Department, for saying that. But I have to rise above. I have to rise above, and you have to rise above. Because people of color do not know how high they could climb if they didn't have to listen to the criticism of people who don't understand what it means to be a person of color in America, where you do everything right, you do everything by the letter of the law, and it does not matter. They just see your skin and color, and because of bad interactions in the past, and yes, they have every right to be afraid, they have every right to be upset, they have every right to be angry. They don't have the right to take your life for being a person of color. They don't have the right to treat a person horribly after being the victim of a hate crime. I'm gonna say hello to some people. Snark and Sass, I saw you here for like a few seconds. That is funny. I'm not gonna repeat that. Okay. Alana Ford. Oh, hello, Alana. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Like I said, you know, I keep making new podcasts because I'm trying to narrow down, you know, the direction that my life is going, because moving to another country, it's an option, but what if Canada says no to me? What if Canada says, well, you know, you're a disabled veteran, you know, what do you offer? And I say, well, I'm the one who's trying to tell you to check the elevation of Toronto right now because I think your city is sinking. But that's just me being a climate scientist and a bit of a geologist there, University of Toronto. But, you know, if you don't consider that a worthwhile intellectual pursuit to find out if Toronto is sinking, I guess that's just what I offer. I offer environmental advocacy. I offer genius. I offer engineering. It's just something that it's not being appreciated or utilized here in America. If anything, I would go straight to the Canadian Space Agency and tell them how they could improve. But I just don't know what would be the point of staying in America when I have been bashing NASA and SpaceX for years now, and they don't want to debate me. They don't, because they know I'm right. Why in the world are we still using rockets when everyone who's anyone knows what a solar sail is? Or a space elevator? These are things that are common knowledge in physics circles. The same physics circles that people are being hired from to go work at SpaceX and NASA. But somehow, every day, these people, they launch their little shitty rockets and they pat themselves on the back, they get a paycheck, and they leave it at that. They don't see how important it is to just say, you know, those rockets aren't as fast as we think. If it takes 2 years to go to Mars, that's a bit of a problem. I'd like to change that by using my designs for solar sails, a space elevator, and a gravity well, but that's just me. Because to me, Mars is not the goal. Mars is a nice starting point to say, let's go further into the solar system, or let's just stay in the solar system. Let's go to a different star. Let's do something. It would take maybe what, 100 years, 1,000 years to get to the next star. 10,000 years to get to the next star. Why don't we try? Why don't we try? There were people once upon a time who got on a little rickety boat. Now we have true precision with ship making. They were good back then. Good. They weren't great. They weren't really, really good. We're a lot better at things like that now. But they got in those ships and they just sailed off in that direction hoping to find something. And if they found something, great. If they didn't find anything, but they tried. Those are the people that, unfortunately, we are descended from, or at least we have in our history. And somehow we lost that. We started building cities, and then we let the cities decay, and then we let people complain about the cities decaying, and then we let that be the conversation. Of course, Alana, feel free to come, go, stay, watch it later fully. As you can tell, I am not an organized person. I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. I am way too stressed to be coherent, but I try. So I'm still going to have this conversation on record so that people can know that at least one person stood up to what is going on. Another thing that brought me back online, which I didn't talk about because I do my best, I really do my best to avoid politics and just the silliness of, I guess, governments. But President Trump decided to slash research funding for Harvard. Good. Just another great move by President Trump. And the reason why I say that is because Harvard, if you still need government endowments after how many Fortune 500 companies, how many billionaires, how many trust fund kids, how many legacies go to your school, and with the amount of tuition that you have, and you still need government endowments? I need a government endowment because I'm trying to go to Mars, but you need an endowment? No. Just like I said the same exact thing with NASA. No. Show results. Show that you have a plan. Show that you're doing something to save the country. I'm trying to save the country. What are you doing, Harvard? Because I don't see that much change. I really don't. And if you want a government endowment, you should have a plan for that. And if you don't, then you do have other means. If you want to hold a fundraiser, if you want to shake down your little Graduates, go ahead. You want to raise tuition to $1 million per student? Go ahead. Know your worth, though, because you produce brilliant people. Brilliant people come to your school, and then brilliant people exit. And then you probably send them letters, whether you admit it to or not. But most colleges do. They send letters that say, hey, remember us? I don't care where you are right now, but you're there. So if you want to send some money this way, yeah, most colleges behave that way. I'm not saying Harvard has to. They shouldn't. But why? Why fight this? Why not accept it and say, if they're asking for things that you're not willing to do, you don't want to round up a list of dissidents that are doing research there at Harvard? Well, fine. You have that right to operate your university as you see fit. You just don't get any money for it. And I say this as a proud patriot and dissident. But I'm not trying to dismantle this country. I'm trying to repair it. When I talk about change.org/clear LA smog, I'm talking about an American asking the American people to repair your fucking roads so that we don't have smog and pollution. I really don't see that as the anarchist idea to do simple road repairs. So I guess I'm not a true anarchist. I guess I'm just a patriot who's a pragmatist. Because isn't it more practical to have roads that don't degrade every 6 months, requiring a work crew, which, by the way, only do patchwork and terrible patchwork at that? Couldn't those people be retasked to do other things? Couldn't they be retasked to maybe build the smart roads that I want to build that save our cities from ruin? Like I said, I want to be super fucking anti-America, but it's just not practical. It's just not practical to truly hate this country when I see it like a used car salesman. It's a junk investment, but it's an investment. I wouldn't have joined the military if I didn't think America was somewhat salvageable. I'm very sad that my country decided to sexually abuse me in the middle of my active duty. But that's America for you. A bunch of backwards people who are gifted with power and then they abuse it. Does that mean that the entire country is horrible? No. But perhaps if we made some fundamental changes, maybe the country isn't that bad. Something to consider, at least. Mars, Mars, Mars. I made a comment recently on Reddit that America plays war games with China and Russia. And I consider them war games because it's not in-your-face invasions or just anything that you could say, well, we declared war. No, it's nothing like that. It's small little cold wars that we're having here, just over nonsense. Because it is nonsense to argue over things like mineral rights or borders, things like that. No one really owns any land. And I say this, knowing that Ukraine is fighting for their lives right now, but the value of human life should be more than an area or a flag. I cannot fathom why they are doing it though. Maybe it's the scientist in me that I don't understand why you would need more land instead of just hiring an expert that says, here's the land that you have and here's how you can maximize it. I'm one of those efficiency people, so I look at external systems and I try and streamline things as much as possible to increase productivity. I think Russia should hire someone who's a consultant for that. I think every country should have that. I mean, they have that in government in various positions, but I don't think they do quite an effective job. Which is why, you get insane ideas like starting battles and wars in the modern age, where it looks silly. I mean, the blood is real, the bodies are real, and everything like that. It's just, you're arguing over what? I don't understand it. I guess I just don't have that human capacity for things like that. This is what happens when you've been sexually abused by the United States military. You stop feeling quite as much. The only thing I feel are my crippling depression that keeps me from going out as often as I would like. I'm a musician. I have songs out. I do have a new song, which I should plug for a second here. I saw the light, Mars Needs, Cheerleaders version. It should be out eventually. I don't know. I think people might like that song. I don't know. I look at situations like Ukraine and I just say to myself, if you can leave, leave. Hello there, Mark. Good to see you. Oh, thank you. I really try and find the words to express so much because my brain is hardwired to think of going to Mars and not much else. The human aspect of it, the cultural significance. They picked a new NASA head, Elon Musk did, and I'm supposed to care, but I don't. I don't because it doesn't matter to me. Because all of these people will start a program that says, okay, well, we'll step on Mars. We'll take one step on Mars. Not we'll live on Mars. We have to live on Mars. That isn't the narrative right now. And it's a bit offensive to me as a scientist because I look around at the brokenness of American democracy, how cities are covered in litter, filth, smog, cars that don't go anywhere, just sit in traffic because there's so many of them. But now you want to add in no drivers and assisted driving to that. Let's just bring it back circle. So there's more traffic. Does that make sense? Does it? I know we keep saying, well, not everyone can live on the beach. Do you need the beach? Would you be willing to walk to the beach? Hike to the beach? It might take 2 to 3 days to get to the beach. But guess what? That's what people did. They didn't use cars, they didn't use buses, they didn't use trains. And I know that's daddy, as I like to call myself. That's a really old person way of thinking things. And I say, well, it's a really dumb person way of thinking that you spend $20,000 or more on a vehicle that barely goes 5 miles an hour because you're stuck in traffic. You spend most of your time honking your horn at people who cannot drive, but they were gifted a driver's license at some point for whatever reason. You're angry all the time. They're angry all the time. You know, you are out in the sun, baking. You have to eat in your car because there's no time. There's no time to sit down and have breakfast. No, get in your car. You better go to work now. Get in your car. What are you doing? No, you don't sit down at a table to eat. Of course not. You drink from a cup that you hope the lid is on properly because the beverage is very, very hot and you don't want to spill that on your lap. And then you eat this sugar concoction, shove it in your face, and try not to choke. And you listen to the radio, and the radio is all politics, which just raises your blood pressure all the same. And that's how you live your life. So you have a $20,000 health-ruining device that you use to go to a job which you probably don't like, or go to the beach because you think that that's what you want out of life. I moved to LA because I said, I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the beach every single day. I want to go to the beach as much as possible. I want to sit on the beach. I want to talk to beach people, surfers, skaters, and, you know, just live that life. And then, I don't know, maybe it was the homeless people throwing hypodermic needles around on the trains. Maybe it was the constant drug use, and I'm a big fan of drug use. I just think drug use is something that you do at home with your families. You don't do in public. That's offensive to me. So, yeah, it might have been that, or just common sense of, wow, you know, you think you're having a great time out in the sun and it feels so good, but the sun is extremely strong. And because there's less pollution, you're getting direct rays. And I don't know if people know this, but California is Mexico. California is Mexico with a different name, but it's Mexico. It is a southern latitude state. That is a lot of sun. Sunscreen is just baking chemicals right on your face. The only real sun protection that you have is stay in the fucking shade. The rest of it, don't even bother. You want to wear an umbrella outside? Guess what? The sun shines off the street and bounces right in your face. Melanomas, sarcomas, little sunspots. It's just not worth it. It isn't. So there goes that dream of sitting on the beach and enjoying any bit of sunshine, because why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself when, you know, you're a young person? I say this with a young person with like terrible hair and terrible sense of style, but can't really help that. Mars has a lot of radiation, and yes, you're gonna have to live underground, but that doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to be terrible. What if instead of it being underground, you thought of it as, okay, well, it's just a fitness garage that, the parking garage is on the first floor, and then you go down, and there's a fitness center right there. There's a smoothie bar right there. There's weight rooms, there's pools, and underneath that, oh my god, the best restaurant that you've ever seen. Living on Mars can be awesome. It can be very awesome because we can eliminate all the bullshit that we do here. And the bullshit really is the idea that in 2025, you have to go to the fun thing, that the fun thing isn't where you are. I mean, I hate COVID. I hate what it did to this country because I see that as the ultimate breach of natural law and national security at the same exact time, when this non-living thing just infects everyone. But didn't it give you a glimpse of a different life? A life where people either worked from home or they homeschooled their kids, where movie theaters had to say, we still want you to see it, so why don't you just watch it at home? I remember there was a huge deal of Mulan being on Disney and then being on Disney at home, and they said, okay, well, it's $30. You're like, oh my God, it's $30 for Mulan. And you say, well, they spent a lot of time on it, and, the action sequences and everything, and, the actors need to be paid, but also you would have spent that and more if you had gone to the theater. But if you go to the theater, you have to do concession because nobody just watches a film and just says, well, I watch it for the film. You watch it for the entire sensory experience of, you need to have something vibrating underneath your buttocks. You need to have something shoved in your mouth. It's so fucking sexual the way that people have cinema incorporated into their lives. It's not, I watch it for the art. It's like, no, I have to have something entering every orifice in my body. I have to have the sound in my ear. I've got to have something shoved in my mouth. I've got to have something vibrating my fucking crotch. That is cinema in the modern age. People used to go to fucking silent films, and there was a man at a piano, and that's what you did. Now it's, well, you got the 4D experience, and I went to Captain Marvel, and I'm watching this sequence, and I don't know why, but something just spritzed me in my fucking face, and I said, did Brie Larson just bukkake me? Like, what the fuck is on my face right now? And why did I spend money to have something sprayed in my face during a Marvel film? That is so fucked up, but whatever. I enjoyed the film. I don't know why something had to spray in my face during that. I want to think that it was a part of the film, that it had some sort of cinematic merit. I don't know, some sort of artistic quality to it. But no, I really think that Marvel wanted to punk people and say, what the fuck can we get away with? Can we get away with just, fucking spraying a load on someone's face during a film? Could we get away with that? Because that's what they did. And I went out and I said, it's the best movie ever. And she's my favorite superhero. So they win. I think it's a little weird. But either way, stay at home. No, you don't have the same 4D experience, but maybe you have another experience the next day. And I don't know what Joe Rogan is thinking about with this assisted driving thing. We need people to realize that driving is archaic. People want to go horseback riding. Good for you. Have fun. I'm sure that's fun. I'm sure it is. But driving cars requires more than horseback riding. Horseback riding is, hopefully, there are no gopher holes or rabbit dens that you're trying to trot your way through. But for the most part, it's you and your animal and nature, and you could say that's somewhat of a level playing field. But cars, on the other hand, there's so many variables, so many. If it isn't the roads, it's the people. If it isn't the people, it's the cars themselves. Why do we do it? Why do we do it? Because it seems like something we would want. Because we're told to want that. You see how many advertisements for cars. I'm in my email. I'm trying to check my mail, finding out why the Department of Veteran Affairs wants to have yet another compensation and pension exam after denying me my disability benefits. So they have some woman call me on my cell phone to set up another compensation and pension exam after I've just been denied my benefits. Whatever. I don't understand. I really don't. But I also don't understand why anyone would want more cars. You should want less cars and you should want more change. And I say that as change because you want a fundamental change in the American lifestyle, because most of us live a very sedentary life. I have agoraphobia and anxiety and depression and rage issues because I've been sexually abused by the United States Air Force. So I don't go out as much. I maybe go out maybe once a day. Because I have a service animal and my service animal needs to poo and pee, and I'd rather she didn't do that in my fucking apartment. So we go out and we do that. That's a very, very sedentary lifestyle for all of us. Me and her. So instead, this becomes my gym. This becomes a gym for her as well. She has a nice obstacle course that she runs through daily. Push-ups, squats, leaps. We're both extremely active. Well, me, not quite as much because I have a right knee injury, so I don't do half the stuff she does, but I make sure that she gets her exercise. Humans aren't getting exercise, which is why they're fucking fat. And some of them are thick in all the right ways, but them thick thighs are taking up my aisle sheets when it comes to bosses. And these people sit next to you and you just say, are you trying to absorb me into your mass, you blob? I don't want that. Most people don't. Most people don't want to be fat. They think that sucks. But they have everything stacked against them, though. They have it stacked against them that they're not eating right, they're not sleeping enough, they're unhappy. And oh yeah, they spend most of their time locomoting in a car instead of walking. Because we keep telling ourselves that as long as the money comes in, it doesn't matter how far you have to go. When that is a quality of life measurement that you cannot ignore. If your job is not within walking distance, please break up with that bitch. Because that bitch means that you have to get up early. It means you have to go to bed early. It means that you have to rush every single time that you're late. And it also means that you don't walk. And that's really bad for your health. So, Joe Rogan, you made your statement. I just have to rebut you on it and tell you that I hope you change your mind. If you don't change your mind, good for you. But try and see from my perspective why having a bunch of unhealthy, unhappy people sit in those miserable cars. They think to themselves, oh, I'm having the time of my life. It's just like, no, you're in a waiting room with a steering wheel. You're waiting to have a good time. You're not having a good time. You're not using your body. You don't live in the world. And I say this as a person who pretty much, because I live in this disgusting city of Los Angeles, which won't give me my disability benefits, so I can live in a proper town where I could walk outside and enjoy fresh air without being a victim of a hate crime. But I still think that people deserve a chance at a better life, a chance to not be fat. Excuse me. So we need to do better. We need to sometimes look at a technology and say, thanks, but no thanks. Technology involving cars is a loser's way to go about things. I want to be nice. I want to, say thank you to all these people who have devoted their lives to being car mechanics and designers of the vehicles that are more fuel efficient and everything, but you support a system that ruins the environment. As I said, I try my hardest, absolute hardest, to ignore politics when I use social media. But it's inevitable because, just at the corner of your eye, you might see something. And I don't know his name. I don't even want to know his name. But he put on his X account how he was proud that he was arrested for environmental activism. Just set the bar as low as possible. Like, do you want a round of applause because of that? You seem like an intelligent person. You seem like a person who cares. But I've had it up to here with environmentalists who behave this way. You made a big, showy demonstration, but you don't understand the system that you're fighting against. You don't understand that you're a part of that too. If you had kids that were having a play date with another family and that kid from the other family was being rough with your kids, you know what you do? You don't go over to that parent and tell them how to run their lives and treat their kids, to teach them to have empathy, because you'll never be them. You have empathy, they don't. So instead of a fruitless conversation, why not just say, My kids don't play with your kids. So when this person on X made a political protest against JP Morgan, I believe it was. Like I said, I try not to look at these things, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. I saw it. Why don't you, instead of locking the doors or whatever bullshit, like 60s throwback you were doing there, Granddad, why not speak to other banks and say, hey, you like money and customers? How about we just do a social media campaign saying, this company supports oil and you don't support oil, so maybe we should move our bank accounts to there. And then you run a separate promotion that says, oh yeah, if you're an environmentalist, this is the bank for you. And, we are waiving fees for the month for checking. Do something small, but work within the system. You see, I complain about America being the most broken democracy ever. And I say it's broken because the cheat codes are right there. They are right there, and nobody ever takes them. Nobody ever takes them. You know why? Because that involves caring, that involves work. And I'm not talking about the type of work where you sit in an office all day. I'm talking about the type of work where you actually have to talk to people, you actually have to learn something, you have to educate yourself on things that are outside of your expertise. And it is outside of your expertise as an environmentalist to concern yourself with business, but I behoove you to consider that. You can't be an environmentalist and just ignore the power of capitalism, because capitalism is all around you, and they are very, very strong. So either become a better capitalist or go speak to your little socialist friends and come up with a better system. That's how adults live a life. Children play at war. Children protest. And I say this as someone who appreciates the civil rights movement. But where does that get us? Beyonce. Wonderful woman, wonderful businesswoman, same as her husband, wonderful businessman. They make millions and billions and oodles of money. And yet still, there are people in this country that do not even value them as human. Despite of them being the just geniuses at music, philanthropists, humanitarians, you can't change that kind of racism. You can't change that. We've tried. We really have tried. It doesn't happen. I almost wonder how different the world would have been if people of color had gone a different route. Instead of asking for integration, instead of asking for acceptance, demand respect. George Washington Carver, one man who studied the peanut, found everything that he could benefit from it, inventor, scientist. Black people are geniuses. Why the hell did they ask permission for anything? Permission to get an education? Permission to If we took that same level of black pride and applied that to raising our people to be super geniuses and super athletes and just dominate the business field, we would have been better off. And I say this to every person of color, every ethnicity. Diversity is a wonderful thing until you ask these people to respect you. You could show up, but if they don't respect you, they don't accept you, it doesn't matter. I was a victim of 2 hate crimes here in Los Angeles, and both times I did not receive enough assistance from my fellow people in the area, from the police, from anyone, because I wasn't a white person in peril. That's the country we live in, and I've had enough of that. I really have had enough of that, because I'm at that age where I think of Ians, plurals, having children of my own. I don't want them exposed to any of this at all. I don't want them to grow up in a society that allows people of color to be marginalized, to be devalued, when our history of expert engineers. The reason why I'm such a brilliant engineer is because my background, being Azteca, being Mayan, we built pyramids, we built feats of glass in order to see far, far away. We knew about the precession of the stars because we measured that with mathematics. We were able to carve into the mountains giant graphics that could be seen from space, practically, or from mountains. We were able to achieve all of that without a cell phone, without a computer, without any of that. That is who we are inside. And right now, with all of American integration, I don't think we're being taught enough native physics, native engineering. I find that to be very sad. I find it to be sad that people can consider themselves Latinos but not Native Americans. Because if they stopped for a second and said, I am a Latino who once was a Native American, they might actually have a better grasp on what they're fully capable of, their full potential. Hello there, Joaquin. How are you? Mars is a chance for all of us to experience something new. If we go to another planet, we have a chance to just leave everything behind. Everything. Will it be perfect? Absolutely not. But will you have space to breathe without this constant oppression? I think so. I think that's worth abandoning Earth to go to another planet. Oh, thank you for the subscription. Hello there, Moffat. Oh, I do not consider this lavish. I pretty much run a bodega by myself with the way that I cook and prepare food. And as far as like a gay lifestyle, I think you actually have to be able to date in order to consider yourself fully gay. At this point, I might as well just be a monk. Actually, no, a nun, because monks were getting laid. They don't want to admit it, but those monasteries were fucking gay Palm Springs resort. Those poor nuns were trying to put around in the fucking garden, and these monks were like, I'm gonna go behind this bush right here, and you're gonna fuck me. That's what those monks were doing. And no one could tell me different. You could tell me they were fucking talking about the Lord. They were fucking calling his name in the fucking bush as they bugger each other. That's what was fucking going on there. Me, on the other hand, I am fucking stuck in this shitty neighborhood. And there's the fucking West Hollywood right there where all the fucking gays are. And guess what? I can't party with them because if I try and leave this area, I've got nutters trying to talk to me on the bus, trying to grab me, trying to fucking feel me up. It's disgusting. So I don't even bother. So congratulations that you were living that gay lifestyle because me, oh, it's been so long since I've even talked to a guy. Look at my fucking fingernails. This is what happens when you don't talk to guys anymore. You start getting ideas that you should be pretty. And I am very pretty, and I enjoy being pretty, but I'd also enjoy fucking a man up the ass. But apparently I can't do that without actually talking to a guy. And if I try to talk to them through these dating apps, the dating apps are just AI at this point because they never match you with anyone. They keep saying, if you spend $20, we gonna hook you up, man. We gonna get you some of the fucking thick ass, and they're gonna be fucking twerking on your dick 24/7. I'm like, really, really? Okay, well, no, because if I spent money, I expect to fucking Grinder should be a fucking pimp. It's fucking prostitution then. Call it what it is. If you're spending 99 cents for a fucking week or 7.99 for a week or whatever the price is, I'm really lowballing it because I saw some of the people on there and I said, you gotta give me a fucking discount. Like I complain to Apple. I complain to Apple because I'm on fucking Grindr and I fucking paid for a subscription. And I looked at the fucking people because I said, no, there has to be someone fuckable in this area. Because hot singles in not in this fucking town. I don't know what kind of radiation leak happened in this fucking area, but these fucking people are so fucking fucking. And I say this as a man with a fucking full beard and weird hair and like not even any chest hair, which is really sad because I'm so fucking hairy. But anyway, I spent money on that fucking Grindr subscription, and then they said we've unlocked more miles around your area. I'm like, of what? Chernobyl? Did you get my location wrong? Because I thought this was fucking LA. I thought this was LA, but then I look around on the Grindr app and I'm like, I wouldn't stick my dick 10 feet near that. I wouldn't stick my dick 100 miles near that. What the fuck is that? Like, that's the level of fugliness that is online. But then I hop on Tinder and Tinder's where the fucking pretty people are. But they don't talk to you. I look at this fucking Tinder app and they're like, if you were more consistent, we'd give you special rewards and you can do a rewind. And I'm like, I right-clicked every single muscle tit that I saw. Somebody was showing me muscle tits. I was like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And guess what? They don't want us out here. That's the attitude that they have, and they have a right to do so. I mean, if I was that model level hot, I wouldn't talk to me either. But I'm a musician, so I can play instruments. I can shred on the guitar. I don't need to be pretty when you can do that. I don't need to be pretty when I'm fucking a math genius. It's like, love me for the sloppy blowjobs you get from this. Love me for that, but you don't need to love me for being pretty. I'm not gonna be fucking pretty for you. But I'm not gonna spend money to fucking date. Like that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You see, this is the reason why I have countdown to Canada, countdown to fucking getting out of this fucking city that teases you, because she's like, you see the fucking hot people. Once you fucking hop over the Walking Dead castings joint, which is downtown LA, once you hop over that, say, hi to Megan and Michelle and all that, and just get over to the other side of downtown LA, you see fucking pretty people. But if you live on this side of LA, I don't see fucking pretty people. I see some fugly people who've been irradiated. That is what I see. And I don't want to fuck that. So that is every reason for me to go to another city, every reason to go to another fucking country. Because I look at fucking Canadians and I just say, maybe, being so close to the forest and, it gets cold up in there. Whatever, you are just fucking fine as fuck. They've got fucking hot French Canadians with eyelashes out to here. And it's just like beautiful faces. And it's just, I look at LA and I just say, it's a fallout. It's a fallout television show, because I see ghouls. I see ghouls all over this fucking place. I'm tired of it. I want to get fucking laid, but I mean, I don't like LA. I don't. I don't know why I moved here. I don't know why I'm staying here. Because I thought that if I got my benefits, I could just leave. Because I don't have my benefits, I'm stuck in this area, and I complain about this city, and it's just, I'm not really seeing the full city. Once I hop over the Walking Dead area, which is downtown LA, that's LA. And I wish LA was a bit more honest, very honest, but no, they're not honest at all when it comes to their advertising, because they say, come to LA. I'm like, you just show beach footage. That's all you show. You show the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Universal Studios. You don't show Skid Row. You don't show Compton. You don't show Inglewood. Because if you did, people would say, I don't need to see that. I wouldn't move to that. Would you? Because I'm living in it and I don't want to fucking live here. I fucking hate it here. So yes, Mars, Mars, Mars. I have petitions in my description, which I want you to go to, because I have a dream of not racial equality, but at least, just intellectual supremacy, a meritocracy at the very least, where people could be judged on the content of their character. And I'm really quoting you, Dr. Martin Luther King. But that utopia that you were dreaming about, that was never going to be the United States. The United States hates people of color, and the people of color hate people of color. So where was this utopia? Because, you had that dream. I just don't think you were dreaming of America. And someone should say that. Because brown kids are being born left and right, and then they have to be sat down at a certain age of, so you're going to be pulled over by the police. Why? Because you're brown. And you're going to have to act like they're the most important thing in your life right at that moment. Why? Because they'll shoot you if you don't. And so you're going to have to be extra, extra nice. Much love for the police, but why do we allow so many brown lives to be to be silenced because it made white cops uncomfortable. And white cops, they're paid to be uncomfortable. It's kind of what the job is. If you were dealing with yacht owners, then you really wouldn't be a cop. You'd be something else, but you'd be a harbor master maybe, but you wouldn't be a cop. A cop means that you have to deal with thugs and lowlifes and regular people who just want to go home. At the same time that I say that, I say, well, blue lives matter too. And the solution to both those little issues are the elevation of the entire culture. Because if we keep playing this game of, well, we allow crime in our areas, we allow failing grades in our schools. If anybody fails in your school, the school should be shut down. I don't know what Trump wants to do with the education department. If I was president, I'd be so much more strict because I don't have time for a country that doesn't value education, that doesn't value the lives of young people, because you're asking young people to risk their lives, to waste their lives in these places. And if they're not getting straight A's, then why are they there? We need to change the conversation between these two groups of cops and people of color. Either cops are going to have better protection so that they feel more confident to speak to people of color and go into these dangerous neighborhoods, or these people of color are going to have to elevate themselves to the point where they live in co-op buildings where to change the color of their walls, they actually have to speak to consortium of their neighbors because everyone there agreed upon a certain color. And that's the level of cohesion that wealth brings, where you don't see color quite as much. You don't have those kind of problems anymore. So one of those things has to happen, or both of those things can happen. But something has to happen, because I just think that it's beneath us in 2025 to even talk about Blue Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter. But I have that conversation because I live here, and like I said, I don't want to raise my kids in an environment where I have to have that chat with them, because that's the wrong conversation to have. Because the conversation that a parent should have is, will you be coming home tonight? Yes or no? And the answer should always be yes. I want parents to have a lot more power and control. And right now in America, that's just taken away from you. Just you let the American government take your kids, and then you're upset when they get shot in schools. You're upset when you find them on drugs. You're upset when they're pregnant. You should be upset that you let them go. Muppet, you're good. You're good. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Bless your heart for saying that. I mean, here I am trying to have a heart-to-heart conversation with the American people about take responsibility for that jizz that should have been swallowed, but that you shut up that pussy. But Thank you for reminding me the fact that I am very interested in Manas, and I will make an excellent father one day. Because I care to raise my fucking kids. If I go out of my way to either fuck a woman or inseminate her and then just have her sign away her parental rights so I can raise it myself, I want complete control over how that child is brought up. Teach it right from wrong. And cherish it, love it, protect it. And yes, protecting it means you say things like, no, you have to read. You have to read more. You have to get good grades. You have to do something with your life. You can't hang out with bad people. I mean, you can cherish your culture and your history, but don't sink into a cesspool of debauchery that people mistake as history. I love rap music. I love rap music because it brings up a lot of the inequalities of society. I'm just not really into the lifestyle. I'm sorry, my heroes are scientists. I want my kids to feel the same. So eventually, once I leave LA, maybe I'll find a partner I can settle down and have some kids with. All I know is that it's not happening here. So Mars. Mars, Mars, Mars. Mars is our future. Mars is a chance to reinvent ourselves, just reach a level of mutual affluence. We talk about food stamps, we talk about social security. Those are socialist programs, and they're not wrong. There's always someone who says, oh, I want a bigger screen on my television, or oh, I want a latest cell phone or something like that. This is why we need Mars. Because who are you really calling? I have a cell phone, and my cell phone is about to be, I don't know, cancelled or whatever. And I'm actually saying yippee, because I don't use it as a phone. I use it as a blog, a vlog. I don't use it as a cell phone because who would I call? Who would I call when I have PTSD from military sexual trauma? So I have no friends. I have a service animal, but I have no friends. I have no family really. So who am I calling? Because I'm paying nothing for a cell phone, but it doesn't bring me as much joy as I would like. Because to me, joy is going to Mars. Joy is not, it's not living in a city like this. I'd rather build a city. I guess that's just more of who I am. So I'm going to keep doing podcasts. I'm going to keep talking in circles, meandering and offending as many people as possible, but making some difficult points that need to be said, because there's so many people hurting, and I bring it up every time. You know, those people from Sandy Hook, they trusted that if they let their kids go out that door, those kids would come home. Why? Because you live in America, and even with Columbine and all the things that came before, people always say, well, that's not here. That could never happen here. That happens everywhere. It happens to everyone. And no one wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do anything because they always say, well, it didn't happen to me, or it already happened to me. So who cares? I care. I care. I have a petition, change.org/Save American Students. It's a wonderful initiative that I have about adding empathy as a teachable point in schools, having schools transformed into autonomous little cities of themselves, give them hospitals, give them recycling programs, give them solar panels that they have to manage, give them a way to model citizenship so when they leave to go to college or explore another city, they have the experience of working as a team and being a part of something. Because not everyone joins sport, not everyone learns camaraderie, you know, through athletics. Some people join Mali UN, but not everyone does. Some people join a chess club or a math club or computer club. Some people do those things. Not everyone does. Maybe before all that, you just teach children how to water plants. Maybe you teach them how to sweep the classroom. You know, in Japan, they had dojos, they still do. And these dojos were treated as a home. It literally means house, dojo house. And they were communities to themselves. And these schools are places that your kids spend most of their life, most of their waking day in this building with these people. And all they could do is bully and zone out and stare into their cell phones instead of realizing that that is your world. I say this as a person talking into a cell phone with no skill whatsoever to overcome PTSD after being sexually abused by Master Sergeant Miranda of the United States Air Force. But I do have narcissism. So as I stare into my dreamy looks, I talk about issues that affect everything. No, I'm Muppet. I did not receive justice whatsoever. I was discharged, and the United States Air Force did not give me any justice whatsoever. I've been through homeless shelters. I've tried to work, failed miserably at it, fired several times. Had to quit several times. Had to call the police several times. And America still won't pay me my disability benefits after torturing an American citizen. Oh, I know I was a serviceman, but that doesn't give the American government the right to my body. It just doesn't. I don't care what oath that they had me say at enlistment. You do not have the right to my body. You do not have the right to ask a sexual act of me. United States Air Force. I need my disability benefits. So we're at that position because I'm a genius that doesn't work. I'm a genius that wants to go to Mars and start a city, but I can't talk to people. So it's really, really hard to accomplish as a grassroots movement. That won't stop me from trying because it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to have conversations that might encourage people to reconsider pooling all their money, their resources into a country that doesn't really give much back. This has been Mars podcast. I am your host, IanXIlyana. I have new songs on the horizon. I have Selena coming out soon. I Saw the Light, Mars Needs, Cheerleaders version. That'll be coming out soon. I have a bunch of music that is out. Try some vinyl homework. Try a groovy mutation. I have tons of music out. Please enjoy my music and support an environmentalist living in LA, which is an album that is going to come out soon. No. It was a female Master Sergeant Muppet. And it is fairly common for the military to sexually abuse, rape, and otherwise harass their own units. Because while they're ramping up the xenophobia and the nationalism, they are also reminding you that the threat to American democracy will always come from within. Because these countries that they keep saying, oh, well, that's where the problem is, Afghanistan, Iraq, China, Russia. They're not going to drop a nuclear bomb on you, but your neighbor might rape you. So here's a reminder, let's sexually abuse you so that you have it in your mind that as much as the media tries to tell you that the world is a scary place, it's your American neighbors who will viciously beat you and call you a faggot. They will rape you. They will sexually abuse you. They will deny you a job. Look a little closer to home if you're looking to fight evil. Muppet, I've gone in detail of what happened to me on previous podcasts, and as I said, I'm just too mentally disturbed to keep going over it over and again. And this is why I said, you know what, let me talk to YouTube in general and just let them know that this is how your American government teaches veterans to hate themselves and to hate their country. Because it's not bad enough that I was sexually abused by the United States Air Force, Master Sergeant Miranda. It's that I'm constantly reminded of that every single time that I have to bring it up. And I know that I bring it up a lot on my own because it's always on my mind. But it's always on my mind because when I try and go on LA Metro, they grope me. They grope my animal too. But that's the level of savagery from American people, that they can see a veteran, and maybe it's because I'm not wearing fatigues all the time and my hair is long and I have nail polish and everything, but I'm a veteran, and It is very evident. It is very evident. And they don't care. If they want to grab my ass, they want to grab my crotch, Americans think they have a right to do so. I disagree. Muppet, if you do feel more empathetic to people who have suffered like I have, there is a petition, Heal Our Heroes, HR 6023, which is a restitution bill for victims of military sexual trauma. Please consider signing that petition, retweeting that petition, putting that on Facebook, putting that on Instagram, because America does not have the right to ask a serviceman to commit a sexual act. It just doesn't. And there are people who were more affected than I am. I've dealt with enough, but there are people who have been gang raped. There are people who have been impregnated that way. There are people who have lost their lives because America decided that rape is okay in the military. They don't make enough movies about that. They don't make enough television shows about that. It's just not something that they discuss in the news, because we're not really considered people. And I thought when I joined the military that I was joining patriots who cared about the country, cared about the people, and wanted to see this country reach its full potential. And I was wrong. I was very wrong. Thank you so much for everyone who joined me on this podcast. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. As I said, I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, so no set schedule at this time. I'm just taking it day by day. Have a good day, though.